Okay, so what's tonight all about? Well, I'm a really big fan of all the Google tools, because what I found is that when you're running a business, you can find that you are spending a lot of time in the business and not on the business. And one of the benefits of Google is that it gives you the opportunity to have a very, very easy to run, scalable system that's also incredibly cheap. I mean, actually, it's free, frankly. So, why wouldn't you use it? And I think that's why I'm really, I'm really a big fan of Google. So, what areas are we going to cover tonight? It's a blank screen. Woo! Does that mean I haven't thought about it? No, I've got some structure in here. I've got some planned areas I want to show you and I'll share with you this evening. But I also want this to be about you. So maybe you're new to Google and you haven't used some of these Google tools before. So I'm going to take you step by step through some of those tools that I use to help you to understand it. But I'd also, for those of you who are a bit more advanced and perhaps know Google a little bit more, to feel confident to ask some more in-depth questions. And if it's okay with you, what I'll do is at the end of the webinar, we'll look at those questions and I can answer them in a bit more depth then. So I hope that kind of works for you. What I'd like to talk to you tonight particularly about is Google Forms and Google Sheets, Google Calendar, and Google Drive. So those are really the 4 areas I'm going to cover tonight. The other ones we'll touch on, some of the other Google tools we'll touch on, but those are the 4 main ones that we will be covering. So I hope that's okay with you. Okay, right. So let's just have a think for a moment about systems. So are systems just for geeks and nerds? Or would you say they're for ordinary people too? What is your view about systems? Is it just about geeks and nerds? Nah, it's not, is it? I think that we all think that actually, systems are a really important part of what we do and how we have our business. So let me understand. I'm gonna just launch a bit of a poll here, just to understand to which extent you already use Google in your business. So if you can just very quickly answer the question there that's on the screen, that would be fabulous. Thank you. Just give you a couple of minutes to do that. Right, I've got the chat panel up now as well. That helps, doesn't it? Okay, so some people have got issues with Microsoft. Martine, you've said that. Robbie, you use it already. Oh, Robbie, that's so sweet of you. Thank you. Please, could you do a review on Amazon? I need some more reviews on Amazon. If you've got an Amazon account, I'd love to if you could put a book review on, I'll give you a big star or send you a freebie or something, because I need some more Amazon reviews. Okay, Martine, you've said you're much more familiar with Microsoft. You've been using a PA, using Outlook. Yeah, okay, cool. So the results of the poll are that we've started, 30% of people have started to use Google tools. 14% of people are brand new to Google. And, oh, thanks, Robbie. Yes, you did indeed. Over half of you already use them, but you'd like to know more. And Nigel, very good point there that you raised about Apple. So, of course, Google tools are very much a part. You can use them on Apple as well. As we know, they're completely flexible to use on either a Microsoft or an Apple platform. But I think there's a few slight differences when you're using iOS to when you're let's say if you're using Chrome. Google works best in a Chrome setting because it is a cloud-based platform. So we have to remember that that's kind of one of the things in which it's going to operate best in is within the Chrome-based setting. Okay. So this slide that I've got up here, what would you do with an extra 20 hours per week? And you can see, pictures of people having a wonderful lifestyle as a result of it. Now, the reason for this slide is really to say that's what Google can do for you. You can free yourself out of your business. You can free yourself out of the day-to-day. You can automate an awful lot. If you're managing property or if you are scaling your business, you're going to have loads and loads of to-dos. Now, I very much believe in using a virtual assistant. I've got a virtual assistant who's brilliant. You don't have to have a UK virtual assistant. You can have somebody from abroad. But the point is that you need to have systems, people, and tools in order to scale your business and in order to really grow and make money. And then you can decide what you do. Do you want to grow? Do you want to grow your business, or do you want to do something else? Certainly for me, I enjoy I'm a chair of my local YMCA, which is a charity that works with young homeless people. I enjoy running, ran the London Marathon earlier this year. I enjoy writing, got a book published this year. So you've got to decide what it is you'd like to do with that time. At the same time, because we have Google that is helping us in our business, making us, giving us more time, we can look for more properties, we can grow our business. So it's really up to you how you make the most of that extra time. And this was a quote that I saw in a book called the Miracle Morning, which is a very short book, very easy to read, but very, very effective. And it's all about getting up early and setting your course for the day. I don't know if anybody's read that book, but I found it, really inspiring. And one of the things that Hal Elrod says is you cannot improve your business without first improving yourself. It's true, isn't it? It's really easy to think that you can do it all yourself, that you can make it happen, that you can that your business will grow without you. But actually, without you growing, your business won't grow either. So for me, that was quite an important kind of realization, to think, well, actually I need to grow, I need to change in order for my business to change. That's really vital. So let's just start with some basic preparation then. This is good housekeeping, as they say. So first thing is, has everybody here got a Google Drive account? Do you know if you already have if you've got a Google email, you probably already have a Google Drive account. So yeah, fantastic. Robbie has already. So stick a yes in the chat panel or a no in the chat panel if you have or if you haven't. Good, most people have so far, which is excellent. Great, hi Kat. Okay, so if you haven't got a Google account, if you don't use Gmail, then that's the first thing you need to do. And I'll just talk about that very, very briefly. It's very easy to set up a Google account. You simply go to Google in your search. I mean, most of us actually, I would imagine, use Google as our choice of search engine. And this is where Google is quite an amazing company, because they started off as a company that was about searching for information, and they've grown these extra tools year on year on year and developed into really an infrastructure business. So however, if you use Microsoft, you might still be using Microsoft, what's their, I can't remember what their search tool is called. I know Microsoft have got their own search tool. There's of course Yahoo, there is Bing. Yeah, Bing, that's the one, isn't it? Bing. So there are other search tools. Other search tools are available. However, Google, I think many of us would agree, is the kind of the daddy of search tools. But if you haven't got a Google account already, just simply open up Google search and type in open up a Google account, and you'll get a response and it'll show you exactly how to do it. And the first step to using Google Drive and using all of these tools I'm about to share with you is having that account. Now, the other step to this, to really making Google work for you, is downloading the apps that you can also get, which synchronize with each other to your phone. So, and also maybe your tablet and maybe other devices that you have. So for example, on my phone, I've got Google Drive installed, I've got Google Mail installed, I've got my Google Calendar installed. And what that means is that anytime I want to see, or if I'm out and about and I meet somebody and I say, well, let's catch up next Thursday for a chat on the phone, I put that calendar entry into my phone calendar. It automatically synchronizes with my, if you like, with the online calendar. So next time I'm at my PC, I can see that it's in the diary. So it's synchronizing all the time in the background. Now I think nowadays we kind of think, yeah, that's just kind of normal. We're all used to everything synchronizing, but even 5 or 6 years ago, that was quite new for everything to synchronize across different devices. And sometimes I do see people having difficulties still with calendar details, with contact information, because their devices are not synchronizing. So the first question is, how much time do you think it would save you if on your phone and your laptop and your tablet and your PC and your Apple Mac and whatever other devices you have, if all of those contacts and if all of that calendar information was synchronized? That itself could save you probably an hour or two a week, just knowing that if you go into your contacts, it includes the contact that you added last week from a networking meeting that you met somebody and you put their details into your contact database. So it's worth thinking about. It's worth structuring this and spending some time, maybe over the summer, structuring this to make it work for you. Another question to ask, right, Mateen, I think you're going to have a revelation during this webinar. You're going to throw Microsoft out the window and start using Google, because Google just works, okay? Google just is beautiful. It just works. So, oh dear, oh Mateen, I'm so sorry. Well, maybe the answer will be revealed to you this evening. Don't use Microsoft products. We've moved completely away from using Microsoft Office and Microsoft products because we just find them too inflexible for the modern world. Modern contemporary people, we're working fast, we're working slick, we're doing a lot of things at once, we're trying to multitask the whole time, we've got attention grab from us all the time, whether it's Facebook, LinkedIn, our children, our boss, our manager, our partner. You've got to be fast. To make money in today's environment, you have to be on it. And I think Google is a fantastic tool for enabling that to happen. Another question, though, is what backup systems are you using? Because although Google is backed up to the cloud, it's very important that you also have a home backup system. So you need to have some kind of device that is on your home network that allows you to regularly download all the data from Google. And I can go into the detail of that later on if you like, so that you can actually have your own data backup so that you don't lose anything. And if anything does get corrupted, or if something happens to the Google file servers, you can still have access to all your data. And that's even more important with GDPR and with data protection these days. You have to be super careful about data. So having a good backup strategy is key to making this work. Yes, Nigel, iCloud. So iCloud works slightly differently from Google Drive. And as I go through it, that might become kind of clear to you. So hopefully that I can explain that as we go. Now, when we started using Google in our property business, we stood back and I said, look, I'm not particularly technical. I've got some understanding about technology and I like to use technology, but I'm very much of one of these people who likes a GUI, a graphical user interface. I'm a GUI gal. In other words, I'm not a programmer. I don't have a geek's brain. I don't consider myself to be a nerd. I just consider myself to be a normal mother, a woman, a person who spent some time in corporate environments with technology, but I needed something that was simple, that was scalable, that was shareable, and that was suitable for our business, and also was secure. So in our business, in our property business, we've said to ourselves, these are the 5 principles that we will live by, that all our systems have to be able to meet these 5 principles. And that's enabled us to make very good decisions about what we use in terms of systems for growing the business. And of course, Google fits right into that, because I'm going to share with you how simple they are, the different tools. It's incredibly scalable. You can use this across the world. We've traveled across the world and managed our business because we use Google. Our team can access all the tools that we want them to access, and we can tell them how much access they can have. We can determine whether they are an editor, whether they can just view, or whether they can download. They're suitable, and I'll do some live demonstrations in a little while to explain how we use them in our business, and I think how you could apply them to yours. And also they're secure, because Google has got very good encryption technology behind the tools that it uses, and I'm sure there's always a chance that hacking could occur, but it's a low risk because Google is particularly keen to make sure that its systems work really well. So this is another quote. I like to give you some inspiration while I talk, from Malcolm Gladwell, who wrote a very famous book called, I can't remember what it's called now. It can't be that famous, can it? Not Outsiders, Outliers. That's right, Outliers. Yeah, and he's written various other books as well. So he said, I think this was from Outliers, practice isn't the thing you do once you're good, it's the thing you do that makes you good. And it's true, isn't it, that actually for some of these tools, you might be sitting thinking, oh, I'm going to have to learn a new system. I'm going to have to learn some new tools. I'm going to have to do something differently. Do I really want to do it? I want to stick with Microsoft. I just want my Microsoft to work. And yes, it's very easy to get into that mindset thinking, I'm just going to spend another 54 hours and get Microsoft to work. But you know what? Why? Why waste your time? Get something that works today. Get something that's going to fix your problems now. Don't waste any more time. Just don't do it. Now, the system that we have, we devised a 5-step system for our business a few years ago because, as I've probably shared with you, I am a bear of simple brain. Like Winnie the Pooh, I'm a bear of simple brain and I need things simply explained to me because otherwise I can't understand them. So we split up our business into 5 steps: find it, fund it, finish it, fill it, and future-proof it. And as you know, if you've been involved in property for a while, or you're maybe even new to property, that each of these steps has particular parts of the process which take time. So what we were trying to do is we were trying to make each step of those processes work as quickly and as smoothly and as efficiently as possible. And what we found was that by using Google, we could actually use most of their tools really well in each of those steps, which was, amazing. So, for example, let me just show you on the left-hand side of the screen. So you've got the different icons there for the different Google tools. Now, I'm sure many of you have already seen Google Mail. I know that a lot of you use Google Mail. So Google Mail, that's the big M there in the red. We kind of know that. Google Calendar is to the left of that. Google Notes, that's the one with the little light bulb on it. Now that pops up on your Google Calendar. You can open it up at the right-hand column. So you can take notes as you're maybe having a conversation with somebody, or maybe you've got some notes that you want to refer to later on. Completely free. There are lots of note-taking devices or apps out there, but Google Notes is completely free. To the right of that, you've got Google Slides, and I'm using Google Slides tonight to demonstrate that actually it's not that different from PowerPoint. There are times when I find PowerPoint very, very useful because I might need to transfer it onto a USB stick, or if I'm doing a presentation or a talk somewhere. But Google Slides is just fantastic, works really well. They've got some lovely templates and it's a bit more modern than PowerPoint. Then you've got Google Maps. Now, I'm sure that many of us have used Google Maps, haven't we? We go away on Sunday. We're going across Europe. We're going up to Sweden, then to Denmark, and then wherever the mood takes us. And I've been planning our route on Google Maps. But how incredibly helpful for us who are in property to be able to look at a street view of a property before we even go and visit it. Have you ever used Google Maps before you've gone on a viewing? In fact, let me tell you, this happened to my husband Andy yesterday. So he was due to go to a viewing in the afternoon, and we do regular property views. We probably do, as a team, we probably do about 15 property viewings a week. And so it was his turn to do the property viewing yesterday. And he said to me, I'm not sure about this property. I've looked at the floor plan, I've looked at the details. It's not really much of a deal. He was a bit umming and ahhing. So he went onto Google Maps. He looked at the street view. We did a bit of a recce, in the area. And he said, do you know what? It's not worth it. It's not the right area. It's not the right property. I'm not going to do it. So he didn't go, cancelled the viewing. But isn't that a great use of his time to make that decision that actually that property really wasn't right for us? It didn't fit with our criteria. It didn't fit with what we were trying to do. Mateen, you're already using Google Maps. Fantastic. Fist pump there. Cool. Okay, then below Google Maps, on the icon on the left, we've got Google Sheets. Now I'm going to talk to you about Google Sheets tonight. I'm going to focus a bit on Google Sheets. Then we have Google Docs, which is a bit like the Word document, you know, the Word version. And then we have Google Forms, which I know a lot of people haven't used. And then below that, we have Google Photos. Google Photos is really helpful because, again, you can synchronize your phone to automatically upload your photos to your PC. Google did actually recently change the storage requirements and said they're no longer going to back up Google Photos. So that's just one thing to consider, is that your photos are probably not going to be backed up anymore on Google because they recently changed that. But you get 15 gigabytes worth of storage when you have a Google Drive account, which you do if you have a Google Mail account. And I'll show you that in a moment. On the right-hand side of the screen, I just want to also just point out that we don't just use Google, because we have to have a double entry bookkeeping system. So one thing I would suggest to all property people is that you get a good bookkeeper and you have a double entry bookkeeping system. Once you get beyond about 3 or 4 properties, it's really not good enough just to have a spreadsheet. It will not give you the information that you need, and it won't help you as you grow. So it's got to be scalable. Remember, that's one of our tools. Can it be scalable? Now, we didn't go for Xero. I know a lot of people go for Xero and they love it, and that's fantastic. We use something called QuickFile. The reason is because it's about 20%, no, sorry, it's a 20th of the cost of Xero. So it's much cheaper. And of course, because my husband is incredibly frugal and won't spend on anything, not even on me, sniff, sniff. No, he will sometimes. Everything has to be low cost. It has to be low cost. So QuickFile was our double entry bookkeeping system of choice. We also use MailChimp. That's a free service. We use that to communicate with our tenants. And in my mentoring program, I use ActiveCampaign. In fact, some of you may have come on to this webinar tonight because I sent an email earlier to alert you that I was going to do this webinar. So ActiveCampaign, that probably cost me about maybe 20 to 30 pounds a month, and I've got about 1,500 list, numbers on my list. So it's not hugely expensive, but if you have a lot of investors, you might find using a CRM system a bit more professional when it comes to sending out emails. So these are the different aspects of the business that we realized that we needed some help with in terms of our system. And you can see them all broken down there, the 5 different steps. For us, the key ones that really made an impact using Google were filling it and future-proofing it. So tonight, what I want to do is use those areas to, if you like, illustrate how we've used the Google tools, and to illustrate how you can do it, but also because you can then apply it to some of the others as well. Once you learn how to use the tools, you'll be able to apply it to any of the different areas of your business. So Google, so much buried treasure. Ooh, okay. So what are some of the advantages of Google? Well, it's practically cheap. I mean, it's free if you use it as an individual. We've actually upgraded to G Suite, so we now have our whole team on it, and we've got our domain on Google. So that costs us a little bit of money, but very, very small amount. Most people can access Google. It's highly available. It's easy to use. It's non-proprietary. In other words, you can use it across different devices. You can easily get the data out. Google do not kind of store the data behind some amazing kind of firewall that you have to get some special permission to get downloaded, and it's really difficult to download the data. You can access your data anytime. If you want to then, for example, download your contacts and then upload them to a CRM system, you can do that. Assuming you're maintaining GDPR. Just must point that out, of course. So you need to get those people's permission and acceptance then perhaps now on a new email list that you might have set up. But there's loads of things you can do there. And it's shareable. This is the amazing thing. You could have a virtual assistant on the other side of the world who is helping you to look for property in this country, paying her £10 or £12 an hour, maybe less than that even. And it's because of Google. Google enables you to do that. Just think of the time that that can save you, and think of the benefit that that can be if you're out at work all day and you come home and in your inbox or in your shared Google spreadsheet are 7 properties that your VA in Thailand or wherever she is or he is has discovered for you because of the parameters that you've already set for them. It's a really, really powerful tool. So you need a Google login. Strong password helps. Two-factor authentication is used by Google, so it makes it a very, very strong way. It's very robust. And we recommend LastPass, which is a very good password storage system that you can use to keep all your passwords safe. Probably not on a Word document, I would suggest. But LastPass is a really good way if you forget your passwords or if you need somewhere to store them all. Again, it's an online service, it's free, and you can keep all your passwords in there. Okay, so let's get stuck into some of the nuts and bolts of Google now. So when you start your Google, when you open up your Google, what's the word to call it? Your tray, I suppose, which is you see in the top right-hand corner of the screen, you can see that you've got this kind of little checkerboard effect. Can everybody see that? Just type Y in the chat panel so I know that you can see right in the top-hand corner of that screen. You've got my little face, then you've got this little icon with a bell, and then you've got the little checkerboard effect. Has everybody got that? Brilliant. Okay, cool. Now, when you press on that, when you're on your Google screen like that, you'll see this kind of tray popped out down. And sometimes Google change the layout of these different icons, but basically this is what you'll see. And you've got Google Plus, you've got search, YouTube. Actually, Google Plus is no longer in existence, so that probably won't be there. You've got Google Mail, Calendar, News, Play, blah, blah. You've got all these different icons for different apps. And the one that we're going to look at is the Google Drive icon. So that's the triangle with the yellow, blue, and green icon. Just go through that. There we go. So that's the icon that shows where Google Drive is. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm now actually going to switch for you to a live example of this. So I've set up a test account so I can show you exactly what this looks like in a live environment. So just one second while I open my my other sharing screen so you can see this, and I can just show you what this looks like. So just one second while I just swap over share. I think you want to see this one. I want to see Drive. Just one second, come on. Okay, can you tell me if you are able to see a picture of a Google Drive that has various files at the top of it, starting with tenant survey on the left-hand side? Is that what, and then there's probably a list of folders underneath it. If you could just put, yep, that's perfect, great. Unfortunately, with Zoom, because I use Zoom webinar software, I can't always see what you can see. So thank you very much. Really, really good to have your feedback there. Thank you. Okay, so if you press on Google Drive, let me just go back a minute and I'll show you exactly what I mean. So if I go back, this is my test account. I'll go to my little box at the top there. So I've gone to my little box at the top and I've clicked on Drive. And then what opens up is what I'm about to show you. As you can see, it's working in a live environment. And here I have a list of all the different files and folders that I've already set up in Google Drive. Now, Google Drive works like any other file sharing or file repository, file storage. And it looks a little bit different from Microsoft, but it works in the same general kind of way. You have folders, and you can see here I've set up 2 folders for properties. It also, on the left-hand side, gives you the option to star a file. Now that's very useful. So let me open this letter that I wrote earlier on to my HMO officer. So I wrote this letter to my HMO officer, hoping that he would like me. And it might be that it's kind of one of those letters that I'm going to have to go back to time and time again. So I'm going to open the letter to my HMO officer, which is just a Google Doc. And at the top of the screen, it says letter to HMO officer. And there's a little star by it. Can you see that? That little star that's just not coloured in at the moment. If I click on the star, it turns to yellow. Now, that means I've now starred that particular file. I'm going to close it down before you laugh at the content. I really like what you do. You are my favourite HMO officer. I'm obviously trying to butter them up to get the license, aren't I? It's a bit of a joke. But let's go back now to the list of files I've got here. And you can see now that the star has actually appeared next to the name of the file. Not only that, if I now go into the starred section of my folders on the left-hand side, you can see it's there. So if you've got key documents that you use a lot, use the star function because it really helps you to very easily and quickly find them. Okay, I'm going to go back to my drive though now. So let me just share with you how you can start a new document on Google. Also, I should just quickly get up the chat panel as well, because I just want to make sure that I'm not ignoring any questions if they're coming in. No, I don't think I've, that's cool. I think you're all with me so far. I don't want to go too fast, but I don't want to go too slow either. So if you want me to slow down, just let me know, or if the pace is okay, it would be helpful to know. So top left-hand corner underneath the drive symbol, we've got this new button. Now, if you click on the new button, you'll find that you have the option of starting a folder or a document, a sheet, a slide, or more. And you can see that under more, there's even more opportunities and more apps that you can actually connect to Google. So it has actually a lot of different tools that you can use. And let's say we were starting a new document. You'd go to Google Docs, blank document, like that HMO letter. Let's say a new letter to tenants. Dear X, thank you for being a wonderful tenant. Here is a £20 Amazon voucher to say thank you from us all at Best Nest. Okay, so let's say I decided to write that letter to my tenants. I could call it, I could put the title up there, get rid of that. Now, that is automatically saving. Can you see here in the top, at the top of that, it says all changes saved in Drive. So it's automatically saving in the background. Every time you start a document, everything is automatically saving into your Drive. So you won't lose anything. It's going on all the time. Now, this is assuming, of course, you're connected up to the internet while it's happening. You're connected via Wi-Fi, or you're wired into the internet. It is possible to work on Google Documents offline, and then as soon as you go online, it'll all be uploaded. So you can do that offline as well. Now, let's say I wanted to now share this document. So let's say I wanted to give this to my tenant manager to send out to all the tenants. Maybe I want her to print it and stick it under everybody's doors. So what I'm going to do is in the top right-hand corner, you can see that it says share. There's a blue button there that says share. So, right, Mike, that's a good question. Offline only with Chrome. It could be that you maybe have to only use Chrome for it to work offline. It's a really good question. I've not ever tested that. How much to upgrade to what exactly? Do you mean to Chrome? Because Chrome is absolutely free. It's a free browser. It's a completely free browser. You can just download it from Google and it will install onto your computer. No worries, no worries. So let's say I wanted to share this. Okay, so let's say I'm saying, oh, you know, I don't want to be doing this. I'm not taking this. I'm not taking this letter to all my tenants. So I want to share it with Andy. So this is my husband. I'm going to get him to do this. So I can then put his email address in here. I can decide what level of access he has. So he can edit, he could comment, or he can view. Now, I don't want him to edit this, okay, because he's going to put it down to a £10 Amazon voucher. You know, I want these tenants to really feel valued. So I'm going to put him to view only mode. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to send that request to him. And I can either send an invitation or I can send the link. So I can send an invitation, which will then go into his inbox, and he can open that and say, yes, I accept this invitation. I want to see the letter. Or he can have a link that comes directly from my Google Drive into his email, which he can then open. And I think I'll just send the link because it's a bit easier. There we go. So fantastic. Now, what's really good about this is that, right, Martine, I'll come back to your question. Really good question. What's really good about the sharing option is that if you go back into share, so you see up in the top right-hand corner there, I've got share. If you go down to the bottom where it says advanced, which is just in very tiny, like 0.4, so you have to get your microscope out to see it, but it says advanced. If you open that, you will see who has access to that document. So if you've forgotten, which happens to me on a regular basis, who you shared it with, you can look in the advanced section to see, yes, these people have access to this document. So if, for example, somebody leaves your organization or you shared it with somebody accidentally, you can take them off and you can save it, and you won't have that problem. So it's really easy to set up access. It's really easy to decide who has access to these documents. And there's settings at the bottom there that also allow you to control that a lot more. Okay, brilliant. So Martine, great question. How do you convert Word, Excel, Docs to Google? Well, what you can do is you can open them in Google. So in fact, let me show you an example of this. So if I go to my drive, I haven't actually got a Word or an Excel document. I can go, once you've got Google Drive working on your laptop, let's say, for example, you can go into Google Drive and you can import Excel and Word documents into this folder structure. So let's imagine that my 15 The Avenue folder there, which is a property folder, let's imagine that was all made in Microsoft a few years ago. I could import that into my Google Drive account, and when I open it, I can choose whether to open it as a Google piece of software, you know, as a Google account, a Google Doc, or whether I want to open it as Microsoft. Google gives you the option. And that way you can then convert a lot of your documents as you go through them bit by bit into Google documents if you wanted to. But you might not want to, and that's absolutely fine. They will still work in Google Drive. Okay. So this new button is really important because it allows you to open up new documents and to create new materials. It allows you to share that information with whoever you want to share it with, and you know it's all being backed up. You've got the starred button here that also allows you to keep a tab on important documents. It allows you also to see which has been the most recently created document. So if you think, where was that spreadsheet that I did 2 weeks ago? Oh, I can't remember what I called it. What should it be? What did I call it? Where did I put it? You hardly need to remember much because the search facility is so good. So let's say I've forgotten what that letter to tenants was. I'm just going to call it letter. Oh, there we go. New letter to tenants. It pops up in the search panel. So it doesn't take me long to find what I'm looking for. Nigel, you only need to download Chrome on your laptop or your PC, and then you can download the Google apps onto your phone. Your phone works slightly differently. Chrome, you can, of course, also download Chrome as a web browser onto your phone, but because you will probably have either an Apple or an Android phone, Google have created apps that work and will synchronize with your with your laptop or your Mac by just downloading the app onto your phone. Okay, so that's kind of a bit of an overview of how the Google Drive looks and how it kind of performs. What I'd also like to share with you though is something else here, which is about Google Sheets. Okay, so just go back to this. Just go back to the window where you can see my live demonstration. Okay, so just checking, sorry, because I'm flicking around a little bit here in the background. Can you still see that Google Drive screen? Are you still able to see that Google Drive screen, everybody? Just if somebody could put yes, yeah, that's great, just so that I know. Thank you. That's fine. And it also keeps you awake, doesn't it? You know, you'd be falling asleep in front of the screen if I didn't prod you and poke you. Brilliant. Okay. Right. So the next thing I'd like to share with you is a really fantastic function of Google. And this is how to link together Google Forms and Google Sheets. Now, one of the things I find a little bit frustrating with Google is that when you go to the new at the top here and you go to more, Google Forms is listed, but in order to open Google Forms, you have to, there's another kind of tick that you have to, there's another step you have to go through. But what I'd like to do is explain to you how I think forms can be a real deal breaker, or a deal maker, I should say, when it comes to running a property business. So let's say, for example, that you wanted to run a survey on your tenants. Thanks, Mike. Can you get me one, please, too? So let's say you wanted to run a survey on your tenants, okay? So you start a blank form. And I've actually pre-prepared one earlier, so I can share this with you. Now, the great thing about Google Forms is you can decide what kind of questions you want to ask and what kind of format you want the answer to be in. So let's very, very quickly do, I'm going to call this number 2 because I've already got one live. What is your name? Okay, and Google has already figured out that the question is to do with a more unique answer. So the short answer is what's required. I'm going to press the plus button here on the right and put in another question. How old are you? Now this time I want to do multiple choice. So I could say 21 to 25, 26 to 31, 32 to 38. Then I could say, are you working? Yeah, and I'll just put that for now. Part-time or full-time. Let's just put that in. We tend to only really have full-time employees, but just in case. So, okay, there we go. Very, very quick series of questions. Now, let me just quickly go back to one I prepared earlier. I wanted to show you that how quickly you can create a Google form. So I created this one earlier. So this is the tenant survey here. Okay, so this is a tenant survey for spring 2019. So lots of different questions. How do you like living in our HMO? What's your name? Oh, I didn't even edit these other questions. That's okay. Now, I might decide, right, I want to send this out to all our tenants. So it's the top right-hand corner, it's got send, very easy. So I can click on that link. I can either email those individual tenants, or I can click on this middle button here, which gives me a link, and I can put that in a MailChimp email to send to my tenants. Or I can actually embed it. I can embed the HTML into my website. Ooh, and that's very useful, and I'll tell you why in a moment. Now, let's say over the next couple of days, I start to get some replies from these tenants. I don't want to go in and see the individual responses, which you can do. And Google, in the responses section, will list all the different responses you get from your tenants. What it will also do, though, is open, or create, I should say, a spreadsheet. So it will create a tenant survey responses spreadsheet, which you can then use time and time again to allow you to see what the responses are to your survey. Ooh. So let me show you one that we did. Did I do one? I think I've done one here. Food eaten by tenants. Okay, so this is just a fun survey. I haven't sent this out, by the way. I think they'd think I was totally mad. But you could create a survey, what food do you like? What food do tenants like? And you could send that out, press the send button, send that out to all your tenants. Your tenants will then fill in the responses. It'll come, you'll see a long list of, well, you might not see a long list, but you'll certainly see a response list here. And then you can open up the spreadsheet and see exactly how people have responded. Now, this, of course, is something that you might want to do from time to time. You might want to speak to your agents from time to time, your estate agents that you work with. You might want to survey your tenants. You might want to survey your investors. But something else that we found has been very, very useful. Remember, I showed you that ability to create a form that you could add to your website. So this is the HTML, which you can embed into your website. We were constantly having queries from tenants, not always complaints, but queries about maintenance. And because we run a lettings agency to manage all of our properties, what we wanted to do was to train our tenants not to keep phoning the office and leaving a message or texting one of our tenant manager or our lettings manager, because it was very, very time consuming. So what we did was we created a very simple maintenance reporting form, and using that embed code, we put it on our website. So let me show you what that now looks like. So this is our website. Can you all see the website? Can you see that screen? You might wonder who those lovely looking boys are. Ooh. Who could they be by any chance? Okay, perfect. That's great. Okay, so you can see that screen. That's great. So this is our website. So this is mostly for tenants, you know, if you want to get a room, blah, blah, blah. This is how you do it. Can you see here on the right-hand side, we've got a maintenance tab. So if you click on the maintenance tab and scroll down, you can see at the bottom there, we have a maintenance reporter form. Yes, that's right, Charmaine. They didn't require any payment either. I think maybe just a McDonald's afterwards was all they required. So we click on the maintenance reporter form, and what comes up? Whoa, a maintenance reporter that's been created in Google. So it's embedded in the website. It allows any tenant to put the details of the problem into the form. And at the bottom, can you see it says next? At the next page, there's a few more questions. I can go through to that. Yeah, sorry, these are all required questions, so I can't fill this in live. Otherwise, the problem is if I fill this in and do a fake one, somebody will go into action at the end of this webinar. That would be ironic, wouldn't it? So I'm not going to do it, but you get the picture. So this form then gets issued. What happens then is this goes onto a spreadsheet, its own maintenance reporting spreadsheet, and because this is not something that is urgent, we give the tenants a phone number to phone if there's an urgent problem, which we look at the start of that. You'll see that if it's urgent, this is what you have to do. This is just for, there's a tap leaking in the bedroom, you know, in the ensuite, or there's a tile that's fallen off, or you know, the gutter at the back of the house is full with leaves. It's more of a general maintenance reporter form. BNLL is Best Nest Lets Limited. I mean, just don't, it's such a mouthful, isn't it? But anyway, we are Best Nest and we're Best Nest Lets. So it's a maintenance reporter form, and it basically means we then capture all of that data. The next morning, our maintenance, we have an operations manager. Every day he goes in, he looks at that spreadsheet and goes, oh, right, we've had another report come in from Lord Street, Darrington Avenue, wherever, there's still a problem with the bins, or there's a problem with this, we'll deal with it. Now, it might not be that you're managing your properties, which is fine. Not everybody is managing their properties, and so this wouldn't necessarily relate to you. But I'm sure there are other ways in which using this ability to collate data from a form directly onto a spreadsheet would be enormously helpful for you. One of the other ways, for example, that we use it is in our tenant check-in. So when we have a tenant that moves into a property, again, we have a form, and the form will ask them all sorts of different questions, and that links to a spreadsheet, and then we can check the spreadsheet and make sure we've got all the data from that tenant before they actually move into the property. So it's super easy, it's really synchronized, and I'm sure you can imagine that people much prefer to fill out a form like that, you know, a sort of questionnaire that's a bit more fun, and it's tick boxes and it's kind of multiple choice and it's all this, that and the other. Much easier for them to do that than to write out a long handwritten form. So for us, that works really, really well. Okay, so let me just go back to the slide. I think I probably I'll go through that forms. Okay, right. So let me just pause there for a moment, because I've given you a lot of information. Do you have any questions about Google Sheets or Google Forms at this point? in the presentation. By the way, in terms of timing, I'm probably going to go on till about 8:30, just so that you know. So if anybody has to go before then, that's absolutely fine. But it's going to be about another half an hour before I finish what I've got to tell you about. If at every point you think, oh, I've had enough, that's absolutely fine. I know what it's like. I've been up since 6:30 myself, so please don't feel that you have to stay. It is being recorded. You can get the recording. But on the other hand, I'd love your company, and if you feel that you can stay and you want to get total value out of it and start implementing it, then please, please, please stay. Don't let me put you off. But if you've got any questions on Google Sheets and Forms, can you see how that could be a very useful tool for you? Is this, I suppose what I'm asking is, is this helpful for you? Is this answering some of your queries about how Google tools can work for you in your business? Thank you, Nicola. Good to know. Brilliant, Martine. Okay, cool. So I think this might be really useful for you. Excellent. Okay, good. Right. Good. That's brilliant. I just want to make sure that I'm not, sort of singing in the wind, so to speak. Okay, next part I want to just share with you is Google Calendar. Now, if you're using Google Mail, you probably might already be using Google Calendar. And of course, Google Contacts. I didn't mention Google Contacts, but Google Contacts is another one of those tools from Google, which is also immensely useful. Now, the great thing about Google Calendar is that it allows you to have multiple different calendars, which you can view as you choose. So they're calendars which you can use for different things. And I'll show you exactly what I mean in a moment. Again, I'll give you a bit of a live demonstration of this. The beauty of it is that different people can also have access to different calendars, group calendars. So we have a Best Nest team calendar. So on that team calendar, we share when we're going on holiday, we share when we've got gas safety certificates that are due to be completed, or when there are other safety checks, fire safety checks that are going on. Our maintenance team do a monthly check of all our HMOs every month. So again, that goes into the calendar. So everybody has transparency about people's movements within the business. So that's really helpful. The great thing about Google Calendar is because you can share it between devices, you never need to worry about losing your diary, because everywhere you go, if you get used to using Google Calendar and putting your appointments in Google Calendar, you'll never forget. Well, you might forget, but you'll never not be able to access it. As long as you can remember your Google name, your ID name, your Gmail account name, and your password, you could log in at an internet cafe and find your Google Calendar and print it off if needs be. Google also allows you to add appointment reminders. So you can add alarms and you can add reminders, and you can invite people to appointments. And you can also have calendars that aren't, if you like, to do with people. They could be to do with holidays, or they could be to do with finances, or they could be to do with viewings. So yes, Martine, you could give each property a different colour. She's beginning to think creatively. Here we are, your data and your colours. So I will just come out of the presentation a minute and I'll just show you exactly what I mean by this. I'll go back to my other screen. I've had to open this ironically, in Microsoft Edge, because otherwise I wouldn't be able to share the screens with you. Oh dear, how ironic. So let me go back to my Google Drive. So top right-hand corner, remember all my Google apps are there. This is in my Google Drive. So I'm going to download, I'm going to open the tray. I'm now going to go to my calendar here and open my calendar. Because this is a test account, I think you can see it's a little bit empty. Sadly, this is not what my calendar looks like. I wish it did. That would be super. But I can also have a calendar for birthdays. As you can see on the left-hand side, I can have a calendar for reminders. I can have a calendar for tasks, which is amazing. You can choose whether to have those shown or not. And you can also add other people's calendars to your list, so you can see their calendars as well. So let me make a new entry here. So let's make it for tomorrow. So let's say at 1:30, I'm going to go get my hair done, hair appointment, and I would like to bring my friend Charmaine. I'm going to introduce you to this hair appointment. So will Charmaine come up? No, she won't come up. That doesn't matter. I'm going to say where it is. It's going to be in Alsager, where I live, Stoke-on-Trent. I'm not going to have conferencing, so that's fine. Description is at Peppermint Park. That is my hairdresser. Hairdressers. Okay, so I'm going to save that. Perfect. So that's in there now. Now, thanks, Charmaine, be nice to see you there. What if I decide, actually, I need to send an invitation to Charmaine, because otherwise she's not going to know that we're supposed to be meeting tomorrow at the hairdresser, so we can have a good old chin wag. So what I have to do is open it up. Now, look what Google's done. Google has recognized it's a hair appointment and added a picture to go with it. I mean, you know, what do you say to that? Isn't that cool? That is really cool. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to edit that hair appointment. So I need to go on this little button here, which is just on the left-hand side. Click on that. Hold on. I need to just press the got it there. There we go. And the whole appointment opens up before me. So I've got the whole appointment here. So I've got all the details here, but in a slightly different format. Now on the right-hand side, I've got guests, add guests. So let's say I wanted to add Charmaine. Thank you, Charmaine. You've added me your email. So I'm going to type Charmaine's email in there, and I just need to click save. And when I click save, Google asks me, would you like to send an invitation to Google Calendar guests? So would I like to send an invitation to Charmaine to join me at my hair appointment? She can get her hair done too. Yes, I do. So I press send. So Charmaine will now get that invitation, and when she's accepted it, because she'll get a notification to say, I've been invited to this event, that hair appointment will then say, Charmaine has accepted this invitation and will be attending. Now, that's very simple. That's very, very easy to do, and I'm sure other calendars do exactly the same thing where you can invite people. But what is so special, I think, about Google is that it allows you to share the actual calendar with other people. So let me show you this. So let me go into this account, which is my Wendy Test account. So in the, here we go. So next to the Wendy Test account, you see you've got these three little buttons. Sorry, let me just get rid of that one. You've got these three little buttons. So if I click on the three little buttons, three little dots, I can even choose what color I want my account to be. So I'm going to choose it to be orange, okay, because it will show up a bit better. But I'm going to open settings and sharing. So this is all the settings for my calendar. Now, what if I want Charmaine to constantly be able to see my calendar? So I want her to be able to access my calendar anytime, and so that she can see what I'm doing and you know, how busy I am. But maybe I don't want her to see the detail. Maybe I don't want her to see when I'm going down the pub and when I'm going shopping and when I've got to pick up Tom from school. I just want to see when I'm busy or when I'm available. So I can add people to this. So I'm going to not give her all event details. I'm just going to let her see free or busy, so she can't see the details. And I'm now going to send that to her, and she will then get an invitation to my calendar, and she can accept it if she wishes. And from now on, all my entries, which are put into my calendar, she can't see the details, but what she will be able to see is my free or whether I'm free or whether I'm busy, which will allow her to say, right, Wendy, I know we can't go for coffee on Friday because you're busy, but how about Saturday instead? Because it looks like you're free. And she could just send me an invitation and then I've got it. So again, incredibly flexible, incredibly useful. So you could create 20 calendars for different properties if you wanted to. You could create one calendar that just was your gas safety checks, or was when all your ASTs are up for renewal, or was when it might be to do with your solicitor. You might have you know, a number of deals going through. What are the deadline for those deals and the mortgages? So you could have one calendar that's just dedicated to your property portfolio. This is so incredibly helpful because the other thing is you don't have to look at them the whole time. So let's say I don't want to look at Wendy Test. I just want to look at birthdays. I'm going to look at birthdays. and I'm going to enter. So let's say on Saturday, it is my mum's birthday. Okay, so it's gone as a default into my own calendar. But actually, I don't want it in my calendar because this is a birthday entry. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to options, and I'm going to duplicate it. And I am going to, here we go. So at the moment, it's wendytest95@gmail.com. So it's under the orange color. Oh, nope, sorry, that's wrong. Just 1 second. Discard. Options for birthdays. Display this only. Okay, let's see if I can do this now. Still going in as the wrong event. Just sorry, let me just sort this one out. So more options. Okay, so usually what you have is a drop down option to be able to add this to a different calendar. It could be because mine is on a test version, so I can't show you that here. But usually in the top right hand corner, you will have the option to save this to a different calendar. Let me just try that again. Maybe if I edit it. Here we go. Right, apologies, I missed that one. I think you've got to create the entry. Once you've created it, then you see more actions, pull down the more actions, then duplicate. Right, usually again what happens is that you get the option to save it to your other calendar. Yeah, I'm sorry that hasn't quite worked as I'd hoped it would, probably because I didn't get that quite set up correctly. Let me just go back to my calendar. Once you do this on your own calendar, you'll find it will actually work. It's because I'm kind of doing it on a test version, so it doesn't work quite well. But what it allows you to do is allows you to decide which calendars you want to see, which calendars you don't want to see. Let's see if I can do something in tasks. Just will change the color. No, you have to have a bit of a play with it. I mean, this is the other thing about Google, is that all the time they are tweaking and slightly changing things, and you've got to learn. Certainly I have found since using Google, it's massively improved our business in terms of efficiency, but it also, there are times I think, oh no, what's that little button? I didn't know what that little button was before. I've never seen that before. Well, just play around with it. You've got nothing to lose. You know, the great thing about Google is it's secure. So you're not going to lose data just by having a little play around. Okay, Mike, you want to change to month view, please? Really good question. Thank you. So can you see on the top right-hand corner here, we have a drop-down little button which says week. So if I wanted to go to a different view, month view, oh, ooh, why has that not happened? That's odd, isn't it? Week, month. There we go. Right, did I click on something wrong then? Maybe I did. So there we go. That's the month view, and you can see that I've put a few details into that. And on the left-hand side, you can scroll through the different months as well, so you can see, you know, what your next month is looking like in terms of appointments. You can also look at a day view. So if you've got a particularly busy day coming up, all the different appointments you've got in the day. You can look at your year view, what's happening over the year. You can search. So let's say I'm thinking, oh, I know I've got a hair appointment. I definitely booked a hair appointment. When did I book that hair appointment for? You just put it in the search panel. It comes up, hair appointment. Whoa, great, it's tomorrow. Oh, fantastic. It's there. So any appointment, or, you know, sometimes I know I've spoken to somebody on the phone and I've forgotten to follow up. And then suddenly I'll think, oh, I should have phoned that person. Right, remember their name. When did I last speak to them? I literally put their name into the search panel and I can see exactly when my appointment was with them on the phone. So I know, right, it was a week ago, I better get back to them now. And quite often their email address will be associated with that appointment. So bingo, I can just copy and paste the email, go into Google Mail and send them an email. So that's good, Charmaine. So there's so many functional elements to the whole of this Google suite. Okay, I'm just going to pause for a moment, have a glass, well, not have a whole glass of water, but have a sip of water while you just have a little think and see if you have any questions about what I've shared so far about some of these Google tools. I noticed that some of you have put your hands up. Fantastic, thank you very much. If you want to, if you've got a question you want to ask me, if you put it in the question box, the question and answer panel, I can come back to you at the end. There will be time for question and answers at the end as well. So if you've got questions that you want to ask, please feel free to hang on and I will definitely come to you at the end. Can you import from Apple's calendar? Merge? Yes, you can. Now, I haven't done that because I don't use Apple products. I suspect, Mike, there will be a help file on this on the internet. I would simply go to Google and ask Google, how do you import from Apple's calendar into Google Calendar? And I'm sure there's a simple way to do it. There's probably some API they've got that allows you to do it from one to another. Martine, I'm very pleased. That's great. So Charmaine, great question. Do I always use tools online? No, sometimes I'm on the train and there's no signal, and I've set my my Google settings so that it'll work offline as well, and then it'll automatically synchronize when I'm back, in the land of the living where Wi-Fi is. I do so that it appears in my Windows Explorer as normal drives. Okay, so you're talking about synchronizing your Google Drive with your computer here, which is slightly different. So I'm talking about mostly when you're using Google as a tool which is just in the cloud. There is a way of having your Google Drive as a local expression of your folders as well. Now that's bit more advanced, but you can synchronize to local folders as well, absolutely. Again, with all of these things, I would suggest you explore, look at Google, ask the questions of Google. If somebody's done it before, there's probably a YouTube video on it, let's face it. If you've got questions though, you can't get it to work, please get in touch with us. Myself, I'm not a particular expert on this. Really, it's Andy who's much more of a technical expert than I am. But just from using the tools, I've learned quite a lot, which is kind of why I'm sharing it with you. But yeah, really good question. Thank you. Yes, Nicola, I will send out the recording from tonight. What happens is that once it's finished, Zoom has to kind of render the recording, and then I can send you a link. So you'll probably get a Google link, ironically, and it'll probably be tomorrow by the time it's all rendered and ready to send out, because given it's going to be about an hour and a half webinar. Nigel, what a very nice thing to say. Thank you. From a lot of trial, error, blood, sweat and tears. That's how I learned how to do all of this. Because I'm not very technical, so I needed something that was simple, and I needed something that was going to work for us in the business. And I just could not be bothered with box.net and Dropbox. I mean, this is another thing I haven't even talked about, is the fact that if you have a spreadsheet, if I go to my drive, and I'll just show you this now, if I open a spreadsheet on Google, so here's one I've created, rental collections. I can be editing this at the same time as one of my team, so we can work on this simultaneously. I don't know of any other tool where you can work on something simultaneously with somebody else. Now, this is incredibly helpful. We have a tool which is a rooms, what we call our room tracker. So it's a spreadsheet that has a number of different tabs along the bottom. I wish I could share it with you, but unfortunately, because of the data, it's too sensitive really for me to show you. So I've just got you an example here, but it's got various tabs along the bottom, and one of the tabs is rooms becoming available. It's because we have reasonable turnover rooms. We're managing about 140 rooms at the moment, so it's it's a reasonable sized business. So what I will do is I'll go in and look at that tracker about once a week, and I have a call with my lettings manager, and it's dynamic because she might say to me, oh, Bob at room 1 has just given his notice. And I see it's coming up on the screen that Bob from room 1 has given notice. So I can literally look and see dynamically live data about our business. And it's just so incredibly useful to know, because then I know what to expect in terms of profitability, in terms of rental, in terms of turnover. And I'm not having to use lots of expensive systems that are costing me a lot of money, which our motto in our business has always been low cost and no cost. And because I believe that by keeping things low cost and no cost and simple, you can scale faster, you can grow much quicker, you can stay in control of your business, and you can build a team that can also do that. Can I see who posted a calendar item? Yes, absolutely. You can click on the calendar item and it will show you who's put it in there. So let me go back to the week. Obviously, because this isn't shared, it might not quite show up as well as if you had another person who put it in. So if I click on that hair appointment, it will show you that wendytest95@gmail.com, which is this account that I've used to create it, is the organizer. So it shows that I've created that entry in the calendar. So on any shared calendar, you could have 5 or 6 different people, and one of them would it would show up as the organizer, and then you can see, oh, it was Stephen who created that, or it was Sheila who created that. Right, okay, so we've done the sharing of calendars, and I think there's a lot more. I could spend an hour and a half just doing the calendar stuff, by the way. But I know you all need to go. So let me just very quickly. Is there any other Google stuff I wanted to share with you? No, probably that was it, because I'm conscious that you might all start to feel a little bit overwhelmed. Okay, how about if we do a bit of a Q&A? I've got a couple more bits that I could share with you about how to create a paper-free office, if you want me to give you a few tips about that, because that's the other thing that we've done in our business, is to decide to be paper-free. So one of the reasons why we went with Google is because it would allow us to scan. So we use a Fujitsu scanner, and Charmaine, who's on the website tonight, on the webinar tonight, she's one of my mentees, and I think this has changed your life, Charmaine, hasn't it? Nothing to do with the mentoring, just the scanner has done it. But we have a very simple scanner. It's a double-sided, very, very fast scanner. It does about 16 pages per, well, it must be, it takes about 10 seconds to do about 16 pages. And it means that we scan all our documents, we save them to Google Drive, and then we shred them. So despite the fact that we're looking after about nearly 40 properties, we don't have any folders in our office, we don't have any files, we have a completely remote system, we don't have an office, we just use our home as our office base. All our team work remotely, we use Google to do that. It means that Andy and I can travel whenever we want to, we can literally just take off at the drop of our hat, our team knows what they need to do. All our systems are designed to scale so that we can work anywhere in the world. And I think that if you want that, then this is probably what you need. Mike, very good. Thank you very much for being here. You go ahead and have your glass of wine. It's really, really good to have you. Thank you for joining us so far. If there's any questions you've got, please feel free to. Probably the best place is the Facebook group, because I tend to go in there every day and answer questions. So if you've got any questions, please put them in there. But this is a really good, just as a sort of bit of an additional one to share with you. So a few take-home tips. Try and spend about 30 minutes a day on Google. Start with some of the simple stuff, because it can feel a bit overwhelming and there's a lot to learn. But once you start to be sufficient with 2 or 3 different of the tools, whether it's Google Docs, Google Drive, Google Calendar, even Google Mail, you'll start to feel confident, and you'll grow into your confidence. You'll start to be able to learn and use some of the other tools. Map your business a step at a time. So if you have got a business that's a little bit all over the place and you feel a bit overwhelmed, you might want to use my 5-step system. Find it, fund it, finish it, fill it, future-proof it, to make sure that each of those steps you're breaking down and using Google tools to help you to manage. Get the right person in as well. So the key people we've found has been somebody who's helped us with rentals. So we now, as I say, we have a rental agency who now manages all the properties for us. So effectively all our properties are being managed by our own rental agency. We have an operations manager who works part-time. He works about 20 to 25 hours a week. He does all the rent checking. He liaises with all the tenants about maintenance. He picks up the maintenance tracker every day, and he liaises with all the maintenance people. And we have a VA who helps us as well in terms of sourcing properties and helping us to find deals remotely. So you will start to find that getting people into some of these roles will also really help you to scale up and systemize your business, so that you're freer to look at the bigger picture and to work on your business rather than in it. Keep your eye on outsourcing, keep it simple, keep it low cost, no cost. Make sure you're really clear about what you're looking for in terms of your outcomes when you're working with people, so they're clear what you want them to achieve. Sometimes we found it's better to start really small with one Google form and one Google spreadsheet and just get them to do that, even if it only takes 20 minutes a week, and then build up the role. So that's really interesting, Nigel. If there is assistant for a reasonably hands-free small hotel that would work. That's interesting. I know there are some proprietary software bundles that you can get. Ian, who is my colleague, he does service accommodation, so maybe that's a question I could put to him. I think I've probably got your details. We could have a call about that sometime if it would help. I suspect that some of this could be done as well through Google. I suspect that you could automate some of this. We've certainly automated a lot of it, and you might find this would be a much cheaper way than buying that software, because I know some of those software options can be very expensive. Okay, cool. Can I ask you, Nigel, to contact me? I think you probably got my email. Can you contact me, and then we'll set up I'll feed it through my VA and feed it through Ian, and we can set up that call. So the scanner, really good question, Mattine, was quite expensive. It's probably about £200 or £300. Yes, don't fall off your chair, as I said that, but it's so fast and it's so reliable and it just works, and it's small, and it's not one of these big flatbed scanners that sits on a massive desk. It literally sits on a corner of my desk and it just works beautifully. So worth it. At the moment, yes, Robbie, my VA is based in the UK, but we are actually looking at getting a VA somewhere else in the rest of the world. I've got a friend who runs a VA agency, and I think her VAs are from Malaysia. So yeah, she recommended to me that we maybe start to think about outsourcing elsewhere to other countries. So we're looking at that. Over the summer when we're away, we're going to have a little think about how we could use a foreign VA. Oh, not £2,000, Mattine. No. Okay, cool. Right, are there any other questions? Let me just go to the Q&A panel. That's great. Thank you very much, Nicola, for your feedback. That's great. Charmaine, Google Drive file stream lets your Google Drive appear on your File Explorer in Windows, so you're not saving to your PC, but it looks like a local drive. Yeah, that's absolutely right, Charmaine. And I think there is a bit more, once people perhaps start to get a bit more familiar with Google, then the whole thing about backing up and synchronizing with your computer or your laptop becomes more important to do. So thank you for raising that. That's really good. Okay, are there any other questions or anything I can help with? Anybody? Okay, brilliant. Well, listen, guys. Yes, the shredder is a Fujitsu. Let me put it in the chat panel, Mattine. Now they've changed. We had a Fujitsu Scan Snap is what it's called, but I think that one has now, they've stopped making it and they've replaced it with, I think it's called the IX300. I think that's the new one. So that's the one you want to look at on Amazon probably. Yeah, absolutely. Just get rid of all your paper. It's just it takes up so much energy, so much time having loads of paper around. Clear your environment. You know what they say? Environment dictates performance. If you've got a great environment, you will perform to the best of your ability. And I think you all will, because there's not many people who'll be on a webinar with me at 8:30 on a Wednesday night. But it has been an absolute pleasure sharing with you this evening. Thank you ever so much indeed. Yes, that's absolutely fine, Nigel. Email BestNest, that's cool. Thank you, Mattine. It's been great to have you on. Yeah, perfect, Robbie. That's brilliant. If you can email me and let me know, that'll be, I'll try and remember that. I'll try and make a little note somewhere. Really, really good to have you all. Thank you so much. As I say, please get in touch if you've got any questions or queries. I'll send out the recording, so this will help you to embed your learning. Go on the Facebook group if you're not already a member. It's called the Ultimate HMO Success System, and I can answer some more questions there. I'll have to see if this is even posted to Facebook Live. I know we had a few technical problems earlier, so I'm not sure if it's gone. But really good to connect with you all, guys. Thank you so much for being here this evening. Have a great evening, and I look forward to speaking to you again sometime in the future. Thank you so much.